important is color theory to what we're doing. So we're going to understand the concept of colors and why they're important, why we need to have a good knowledge of colors. So start off with typography. What is typography? Typography is the art and the craft of arranging type. Now, what is type? The next question that comes to mind. Now, of course, a lot of people will just go straight to the idea that of type being your font. But yeah, typography is not just about font. Typography is really the art and the technique of arranging your fonts, for arranging what not to use, how to use them, when to use a slab serif, when to use a cursive font, when to use a decorative font, when to use, how it. That is like it's a psychology of everything that has to do with type, right? And now some people have bad designs. Why? Because they don't know how to use font correctly. They don't know the appropriate times to use some certain types of fonts, how not to use, if you want to pass a message in some designs. There's some specific kind of fonts that you use. You understand? Strong typography is like a vocabulary for a designer. It's like a secret weapon. When you understand typography, when you understand the psychology, the gimmick around it, you fully grasp the idea of what design is all about. So design has to you have to marry good typography with your design. Your design doesn't have to come in a sense that you just place your different kind of fonts. For instance, if you're doing a design for kids, you know that you don't use those annoying fonts, those crazy looking fonts for kids, because they tend not to appeal to kids. If you want to do something for maybe a corporate agency, for example, you don't use playful fonts. You know that this is what you're supposed to do. And now we'll look at the types of fonts. So now you have your display fonts, right? You have your serifs, you have your sans serifs, you have your scripts, and you have your serifs. So basically, sans serifs are just fonts that are just plain. They don't have any curve. They don't have any extra edges here. Just like you see your sans serifs, they have these extra points. Those extra points, those are sans serif fonts. And most times, for most corporate items, deliverables, and assets, and you use serif fonts, it's because they look more professional and presentable. But most times when you're doing something less serious, you can throw in your cursive, you can throw in your script fonts and stuff. So quick understanding, just your basic fonts. So this is like this is basically a serif font. This both are serif fonts. This is a sans serif font. Like I said earlier, let's zoom in a bit. These are like, they don't have any extra edges. There are no extra things. Looking at this is going to be very blurry if I zoom in, but I think we already understand what I'm talking about. So these are what your fonts are like, your basic fonts, right? So let's quickly move. So okay, sorry about that. These are your serif fonts, because they are classic. Serif has a feel of classic. Like I said earlier, they're professional. They look more professional and very traditional. Most newspaper publications and ads and everything, your banks, they tend to use those kind of fonts because they are professional. They look traditional, like straight to the point. While your sans serifs are they're a bit casual, they're a bit laid back, they're clean, they're modern. You understand? They're just really cozy, and you just feel a sense. Most times in on your on your designs, you have to use um um sans serifs, because they in computer graphics, they tend to be relaxed. They tend not to be so serious and uptight. So we have your script, your black letter, and your all caps. These are like just different types and display fonts. These are different types of display fonts for you. So furthermore, and yeah, this is the major idea of typography. When you understand typography, you'll be able to know how best to use them, how not to use them. You understand hierarchy. I'm going to go straight into hierarchy, because like that's like the most organized or the most important way of using your fonts. So now let's look at moods, font moods, font moods. Now your slab serifs, they are bold, they are impactful, they are attention grabbing because they are bold. These are slab serif. This is what you call slab serifs. They're a bit thicker. They're a bit thicker than what you know in your serif, in your serif. In your serif. Let me show you an example. Yeah, in your serif, it's just little. It's just small. Just a little curve. But in your sans serif, they are more bolder, because you want to have that force. You want it to send that message, that straight message. So you have your serif font. Like I said, your serif fonts are simple. Your sans serifs, they're simple. They're straightforward. They're easy to read. They're neutral. They're just there. They sit properly. But then your serifs, they are very, very formal. Like I said, in the corporate world, they most times use your serif fonts. You have your black blue bold fonts. They're all up in your face, like poof, you can't get me out. You have your condensed fonts, ultra thin. So this is just basically understanding how to use them when, for instance, you want to do a design. You know how, okay, if I'm doing a design for bank, I'm not supposed to use a what's it called, a sans serif. You know that, okay, most times, most appealing for banks should be your serifs. Then you have your italics. I think we already understand. We already know from our past, maybe from our past experience with other things. We already know what our italics are. They're just a bit slanted. Have your modern sans serifs, the ones that are slim and slick. You have your decorative fonts. You have your script fonts. So quickly, we'll just go over this. Now we have how people and how modes relate to your fonts. What are the kind of modes? So for instance, you're doing a design for instance, Coca-Cola. If you see how Coca-Cola's fonts, they're a bit laid back, they're friendly. The Coca-Cola fonts that goes wobbly, it's just cool. It sends an excitement. You understand? There's this excitement that font exude, so that we get to feel that emotion, that association. We get to connect to them. Now, font plays a very big role. Now, I'm going to share a lot of sites where you can get your fonts, where you can get free, really great fonts that you can use and just really make your designs look very unique. There are fonts that comes default into your Adobe, which we're going to go into by tomorrow. We're going to go into Adobe in full time, and then we're going to learn a lot of great stuff. But yeah, this is fundamental that we understand how your font plays a great role in your design. It's so important that we grasp the idea. Now, this is so important. Don't try to be original. Just try to be good. Just try to be good. Just try to understand what font is. Just try to understand how to pass a simple message. You understand? Remember what graphics is all about again. Graphic design. Graphic is information and design is aesthetics. Don't try to be over the top. Just pass the message clean and nice. Now, so I'm going to ask a question. Is this a serious font? Now, is this a serious font? Is this a serious font? Is this a serious font? Or is this a serious font? So we're going to answer the question at the end of the class. So I'm just going to ask everyone at the end of the class. We're going to answer that. Now, when you understand your fonts, you'll be able to know how to play them. For example, these are your regular italics. They're your regular fonts. There's nothing added to it. These are your complementary colors. Now we're going to look at colors in depth. I told you that the two things we're going to measure, and I mean the three most important things are like the fundamentals of design, typography, and your color theory. Once you get that, you're good to go. And then you just apply your skill and your creativity as you move up. Now let's look at hierarchy in design. Hierarchy in design is so important. Hierarchy in design, in typography, it's so important. This is still on the typography. It is so very important to understand that, okay, there's some messages that come under some messages and come under some messages. Like how you have a title, you have a subtitle, and then you have the body. That's what hierarchy is all about. You have to play a hierarchy. It comes a great deal because, for instance, curated playlist is the title. Browse is like a button. This is a button. So you make with your colors also you make a distinction. Then this is like a sub. This the A list rock is like the sub, and then this is like a sub if I would say, like a sub, you know. And that's why it's a bit faint, using a faint color. Now we have to understand how to use hierarchy in design. It is so important that you grasp the idea of hierarchy. You understand, when you're having like a complementary card design, the name has to be bolder than what you have, than the designation. Now the designation could be regional manager, what have you, whatsoever. But yeah, the name has to be bolder, because that's like the main attraction. When someone picks up a complimentary card, they want to see the name, they want to see the number, they want to see the address. That's like the main major things that you look out for when you pick up a complimentary card. It's hanging. So again, this is just your typical arrangement of what hierarchy is all about. So you have this right here is 2016, and then you have annual report. Now you cannot go over the top and say, okay, but yeah, you can arrange it as it were, but then there has to be a uniformity between this and this. This cannot be big and this just also bold. It just creates that level of inconsistency and annoying design. You understand? Yeah, also just to showing the light of what hierarchy is all about. And now talking about the power of images. So we'll just quickly brush down the power of images. It's important that you understand how to source your images. You need images that are high definition. Now we just moved from typography to images, because we need to understand how to apply images. Images play a very large role in your design. They help to sell the points. They help to create your focal point. Remember what we talked about yesterday, your focal point. They help to just drive that message, sometimes much more easier than your text. Your texts are just your accompanying copy, just for further to buttress the point further, to express the idea further. But most times your image just creates that story for you. But then, and it's important to know where to find them. How do you find your images? You have to go to stocks. You either use stock sites or use free royalty sites. I'm going to share a lot of free royalty sites over the years that I've been using to do my designs, and I'm going to share for some stock sites. A lot of the stock sites are largely very expensive. Why? Because they are Nigerians they don't populate stock sites. It's not a very productive business as it were, but I mean it just helps everyone in design, and good and fine. It's not so it's a bit expensive venture to go into, but yeah, I'm going to share a lot of sites that I use to get my images, which of course is going to be very useful for you guys. Yes, of course, I'm going to also share a lot of my tips and tricks from all my years of design, so it's going to help you greatly. So just stick around. Importance of quality image. Importance of quality image. They help you, like I said, they help you sell the market. They help you sell the market before your company text comes into play. Of course, it's not about your content. It's not really about your content. It's about the technical side of the images. For instance, this is trying to sell a tire, but then the tire is so blurry, you don't even understand what's going on there. Do you understand? You don't even know what's going on there. You're like, oh my God, what's this? Oh, sorry about that, guys. So yeah, where to get and how many pixels okay for you. Sometimes you want to you want to be sure that you're getting images that will not pixelate. Now, and most times your pixels, I'm going to also show us how to search for images. That's another trick that most people don't know, so I'm going to reveal that to you guys. It's very important, so someone can just remind me to just show you how to search for images, because from tomorrow we're going to go into practicals real time, and then I don't want to see blurred images. I don't want to see that. It's going to be very annoying. Anyways, so this is what not to do. You don't, sorry guys, you don't big up images like this. You don't download images like this. You don't download images like this because they are small. And then when you blow it up, when you blow this, it becomes like this. When you blow it up, it becomes like this. No, you don't do that. You do this rather. You do a very large image download. A lot of people still don't know how to, like I said, a lot of people still don't know how to download large format of images, but I'm going to show that to you guys. Now your image has to be sharp, clear, distinct, and memorable. What did I say? Sharp, clear, distinct, and memorable. It has to tell a story. I mean, it has to catch the eye of the audience. It has to be interesting and beautiful. All right. So now we're just going to move into color theory. I think I'm going to spend a bit more time here. I'm going to spend a bit more time because it has to stick. It has to stick. It has to stick. Now, color is so important. Why did I say color is so important? Wow, because as a designer or someone that's creative, you have to love colors. You have to love your primary colors. What are your primary colors again? You have to go back to your elementary class and like, what was my teacher telling me when he was talking about colors? Because it is so fundamental that you understand colors and their connotations, right? Now, you have your yellow, you have your orange here, your blue, and then your black. Research has shown that for 90 seconds, people make a very, very smart, conscious decisions based on the color, whether they like it or not. Imagine Coca-Cola having their color being brown, or their color being deep green. How many people do you think would drink Coke? I bet you a lot of people would not drink Coke. Why? Because the idea of green, by default, it gives the brain an idea of irritation somehow, some way. It gives now, not saying that green is not vegetation, but in what design, and if you want to sell something like Coke, if you want to sell something like food, like a fast food or something, green, like those deep greens and those really awful greens, they are not your favorite colors to use, or never even use them. Now, a lot of people base off their color choice, their choice in the market. For instance, if you want to go to the if you go to the shelf, most times you're not attracted to some products. Why? Because their packaging is really awful. The colors are really just annoying. You're like, why is this thing like? You just by default, you just think that the product will be awful, have an awful taste. For instance, if you see let me use this one now. If you see egusi soup that has some kind of a very dullish yellow, you just know that by default this soup will not make sense. That's something like that. You have to use this something like a very lush. The egusi soup has to look very lush, and sometimes red, and have all those things inside. I know I'm trying to spark somebody's hunger. Don't leave now. When we're done, you go back to your food. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to say is, in essence, is colors play a very, very great role. A very, very great role. Now, and then you, of course, when you talk about colors, you talk about your color wheel. What is your color wheel again? We're going back to so much. I mean, for some people who think deep, we're going back. This is like elementary stuff that we were taught in primary school or secondary school or thereabout. I think largely in primary school and your early years and stuff. Talk about your red, you sometimes we just think that, oh, those colors are just, okay, yeah, they're beautiful, they're nice. But yeah, we need to go back to what are the primary colors, what are the secondary colors, what are the tertiary colors. Why? Because they will guide our design process. Now your color wheel. These are like your basic colors. Your basic colors. These are your basic colors. Now this color and this color, they complement each other by default. This color, yellow, and this purple right here, they complement each other. If you're going to use them for a design, your best bet, they're going to complement each other. By default, whether you see it or you don't see it, they're going to complement each other. Why? Because they on the color wheel, they're side by side. All right. Now, there are two types of colors. You have your two types of color variants or models, color models, that's a better word to use. You have your RGB and your CMYK. For most digital stuff, you have to use RGB. Why? Because the resolution and the templates for screen resolution is majorly RGB. Why? Because RGB is quite lush. RGB is beautiful to behold, whilst your CMYK most times is for print mode, when you want to go for printings and stuff. So furthermore, when you're more advanced, you go for printings and everything, your CMYK are most appropriate. Now, what is CMYK? CMYK simply means your CN. Just quickly, your CN, which is this. This is CN. This is what you call CN. And then you have your magenta. You have your yellow, and then you have your black in the middle. I'll go over it again. This is your cyan, your magenta, your yellow, and your black in the middle. RGB, that's red, yellow, and blue. All right? So that's your CMYK. CMYK and your RGB. RGB. All right. So moving on. So now let's look at harmonious colors. Now it's important for us to understand what harmonious colors are. Harmonious colors are colors that are closely related, they associate, they are pleasing, they are orderly in the sense. Now, if you look at this, these are harmonious colors. This is warm. This is a bit warm. It just gives a certain flow, like from the darkest to the lightest, from the darkest to the lightest. That's what harmony is all about. They're in sequence. They are in a certain nice flow. They're in accordance to each other. They are flowing properly. You have designs where there are just so many colors. It's important for you to use harmonious colors sometimes when you're designing. Why? Because it just guide you. It just make the appearance on the eyes of the viewer just love the design at first glance, even whilst they have not read the message, they have not studied anything. You understand? If, for instance, you use colors that has so many things going on, for instance, like I tell people again, now in design, you don't use more than 4 colors. Most times I use only 3 colors. Why? Because you don't want to throw in so many chaotic colors in it. You want to use, for instance, if I want to do a design, I'll pick a red, and then I'll pick harmonious colors in the family of red. How do you know the colors in the family of red? I'll give us a simple trick. I'll give us a very simple way to understand that. It's so simple for us to understand that. I'm going to give us some simple steps to find a trick around it. All right, guys. So let's quickly move on. Let me do this. Right. So now you have monotone colors. What are monochromatic colors? Now, monochromatic colors, they are colors that basically you just have one color and then you have different tones of that same color. Example of what I mean: this is just warm color, this is just a warm color, this is just a different, a certain tone of orange, this is the main color, and then this is not yellow yet. I hope we know this is not yellow yet, just different tone. This is what you call your monotone. This is also a monochromatic, because you start from here and then you just different shades and tones of that same color, right? And then you have your analogous. To create analogous homogeneous, I mean, you need harmony. It's just basically harmony. Now you use your colors that in the family of blue, for example. You use your colors like light blue. You use your colors like your light your very light orange, because deep blue some most times fits with yellow. Your light yellow, just make it really calm, and it just creates that beautiful appeal. Now, aesthetics, this we're looking at aesthetics. Color has to do with more of aesthetics. Color is largely aesthetic. It is not graphic. Color is aesthetic. Color is design. All right. Use your complementary colors. Like I said again, complementary colors. Look at what I said about blue. Look at what I said about blue. Now you have your very light, you have your yellow here, you have your really light yellow, and then your blue. It just creates that contrast. It sits properly. It sits properly. Most times people don't understand this, but by default, when you have blue, the colors that most fits with them are your light blue colors, the ones that are not so deep, the ones that are just a bit subtle and everything. You just throw in that there so that the design can sit properly. Let's quickly move on. And then so I'm going to this is one of the best sites. So this is me giving you one trick. So quickly just write this down. Just write this site down. This is going to be your new home for colors and everything colors. Now you're worried that you don't know colors, right? Now when you go on this site, it gives you, for instance, now this color, this is the darkest point, this is the harmonious colors of this. When you're designing and then you put this color, these colors are like, you can never go wrong when you use these colors, right? Also, this one, when you pick this color as your main dominant color, as it were, then you throw in this color, throw in this color, throw in this color. You can never go wrong. It is certain that your design is going to be beautiful. You understand? So this site is a trick. This is a gift from me to you guys. A lot of designers would not give you this trick, but yeah, I'm giving up to you guys. It's important. Just quickly note this down. It's a very beautiful site. I use it all the time. How am I saying all the time? I use it every time. All the time means I have options, yeah. But yeah, every time I want to design, I go on this side. I just pick my Pantone. I'm going to show us how to pick the colors right there. And whilst we're designing, whilst we're into practicals, I'm going to show us how to use it.